So I've actually filed a lawsuit and won against every employer I've ever had. Except for one. I did file the lawsuit, I just didn't win. And now I'm about to teach you how. So the first method of filing a lawsuit against your employer, it's my favorite one. It's simple, it's easy, and more importantly, you're gonna get paid. So on Monday, when you go back to the work and go to the break room, just open your ears. You'll probably hear two guys. Those two guys will probably be talking about the fornications and the horseplay that they've had with the women over the weekend. What you do is you walk up to them, tell them, hey, I'm not trying to hear that shit. And then you go to HR and you file a claim. So going to HR and filing a claim is the most important part of the method. In order to win a lawsuit, you have to have a paper trail. So you go to HR and you file a claim for harassment. Now, after you do this, they're probably not going to like you anymore. They're probably going to run around talking crap about you, and that's okay. Remember, you're not there to work. You're not there to make friends. You're there to make easy money. So it's probably not going to be on the same day. Probably not going to be on the same week. But when next Monday rolls around and those two same guys are in the break room talking about the same things, boom, that's when you flip them. You go up to them again, you say, hey, you're making me very uncomfortable. I've already told you once. Stop talking like that. And then you go back up to HR, file another claim. And now what you have is a lawsuit. So lucky for you and your lawyer, you just took all the steps necessary in order to get the bag. Now the only thing left to do is go to court. Now going to court, it's not going to be a quick process, and it's definitely not going to be overnight. But in the meantime, you're already at your next job, plotting your next lawsuit. Now when you're going to court on your harassment case, very early on in the process, they are going to offer you a settlement. That settlement should be anything from $8,000 to $12,000. What you do in this situation is you take the money. Because from their point of view, they don't want to spend all the time in the world going back and forth with you. What's $12,000 to a multi-million-dollar company? Now your next step is to switch geographical locations. You don't want to rub yourself out, and you don't want the same judge for your next lawsuit. And now that you got you a little bit of money, you're probably the guy at the water cooler at your next job talking about the girls you lay, which is fine, because you're not even going to take the harassment method for this one. Now for this one, after you get done with the locker room talk at the water cooler, you're just going to take a brief glance at the fire exits. It's probably something blocking them. Boom, you got you an OSHA violation. And if there's not nothing blocking it, just put something in front of there and take a picture. After you do that, it's like rinse and repeat. You go back to HR, you file a claim and say, look, I feel very uncomfortable. You file the claim, you show them the picture, and they'll probably rectify the situation. That's okay, because next week, you're going to do the same thing. Now, when it's all said and done, after these two, you're $20,000 richer, you done moved again, you're probably working 2 or 3 part-time jobs, plotting on scamming all of them, and life is going to be great. At this point, you've probably seen the country. You're averaging 4 or 5 lawsuits a year, and you've got great experience in plenty fields of work.